Hello YouTubers, this is a noobifier. It's been about 14 months that I've been tracking the progress and evolution from MTX over to the new MTS sim system. I've spent the last 2 months building, adjusting, using, and perfecting my MTS to suit my simulation needs, so it's now time for me to welcome you to the main overview and impressions video from the perspective of a sim enthusiast. Despite receiving them early, this is not a sponsored video. I've paid for them in advance using my own promo code. That code is also there for you in the description of my videos. It'll take 5% off of any order. It's obvious that I'm a sim enthusiast first and then a content creator, but I need to highlight 2 important things before we continue. First, there are 2 MTS setups in my basement that are configured for flight and 1 is configured for driving. You do not need 2. That's the entire point of this new MTS system. MTS is quick change modularity and complete flexibility. I could have easily achieved everything from 1, but as this space is part of my job, I chose 2 platforms. Mine is a unique situation and you would be able to do everything on 1. With a single MTS, you can switch between fighter jet, race car, rally car, spaceship, helicopter, passenger jet, and then switch out and host a 3-hour Zoom meeting from your multimedia desk workstation. There is thoughtful planning and modularity, the type of care that takes years of R&D to perfect. And the second is that during this video, I'm going to show you how both of mine are configured. But my auto sim setup is fully customized to suit my specific needs as a live streamer. And because of that, not all of the modules that I'm using are parts that are directly available from Monstertech. I'm showcasing it today in its full configuration to demonstrate what's possible, or more specifically, how your creativity can bring your setup to the next level. Wherever possible, I'm going to indicate anything that was made specific, and I will also invest as much of my time as you need to help you. Some of my modification ideas, such as the top-mounted monitor and the shifter, were liked by Monstertech, so something similar should actually be available in the very near future as part of Set 2. In contrast, and for your reference, 100% of the second MTS flight setup is composed of off-the-shelf components. And once this video series is complete, it's very likely that I'm going to customize the flight one as well, like I've done with the car, to suit my own needs for livestream. I have my hardware listed in the description within a Google Doc with links to everything, and you should contact me directly on the Monstertech or noobifier Discord. There's a lot of great stuff to cover, so let's begin. When discussing this new series with Monstertech, they invested years to provide a fresh starting point, but using all of our feedback. And I need to cover my observations, which will be broken down into sections to keep things on topic as it's a lot to cover. They'll be broken down into the base, the seat, the pedal mount, the screens, the front middle, the rear middle, and the left and right. The base is a common rail structure with open pedal platform. The base has adjustable feet or optional casters. You should consider the casters over the feet as it makes everything very easy to clean, and it also makes everything just simpler. The base is the core that all items attach to. The base can mount an optional metal floor plate that has a thick custom carpet, like something you might see in a very nice German car. It's super thick and fantastic. I never considered how much that option would mean so much to me. In my opinion, you should consider the floor and carpet plus the casters as a more mandatory option. The base includes a modular seating system that allows you to mount any rail sliders. The modular location allows me to mount extras such as base transducers, but more importantly, it now has an open front that allows you to use its retractable middle mounting system. I'll cover that one in a little bit. The Monstertech Pilot Chair 1 is part of this system. I've already done a review on it, and that's linked up for you right now. It provides me a purpose-built seat that's shape optimized for all sim. It's quite focused on flight though. The armrests are sold optional. I tested without them and I missed them, honestly. I don't feel that you should run this without the armrests. Those are positioned to work with MTS, and they avoid all clearance issues. And another feature that I appreciate on that chair is the middle punch-out for my middle-mounted controller configurations. I can confirm that any chair that can be rail-mounted would be very suitable because I actually had absolutely no difficulty with the Sparko chair attached directly on Sparko rails. But the middle punch-out is a big part of getting the controller where it needs to be. In the correct position, I'm able to rest my forearm on my thigh, extending playtime, reducing fatigue, and improving my precision. The pedal area got an update. MTS is an open pedal mounting system. MTX, the previous generation, was limited in width because of how the vertical profiles were attached. This restricted me from some of my wider pedal choices in some configurations that I may want. MTS, as I said, is unrestricted because there's nothing left or right of the pedals. I have the ability to move the entire support structure closer or further, as well as moving the chair on its slider. I have the ability to raise or lower the plate all the way to the floor if needed by removing the base plate. I have the ability to change the angle positive, negative, or level with simple tools in seconds. This was the only way that I could properly use different types of pedals. Flat pedals such as the Torx or T-Rudder worked very well on a sharper angle. Pedals like the MFG or Virpil Ace worked best low and flat. Automotive pedals need a low, shallow position. If I wanted to recreate a flat sitting position such as what you would see in a Formula 1 car with the correct chair, I would easily be able to raise and angle the pedals into that position. My favorite new feature by far, however, is the inclusion of a quick change system. The plates change without tools. Road car, drift car, Formula car, jets, planes, choppers, airlines, and even just blank if you don't need it. I decide what I need. I go get the pedals that are pre-attached to a plate and I'm ready in seconds. This quick change system allows me to set where everything should be once, and most pedals even use the same type of USB, so it actually becomes quite plug and play. Unplug, twist 2 hand bolts, change the plate, tighten, and reconnect the wire. Simple, clean, and fast, and I now have a shelf located in my back room with all of the pedals mounted and ready to go on their own plates. A feature that I noticed when researching is the location and shape of the holes on this plate. It seems that there's something ready for every type of pedal, but there was something familiar about the wide oval slots, specific to what I was used to with the Husqvarna pedals. Their pedal system includes a heavy, thick plate that's really expensive to ship, and it also adds to the price of entry. If you want those pedals, you would usually need to buy the plate as well. The same mounting slots are already on the MTS plate, which will save me money for a future upgrade. You may want to have a large or small screen. You may not need them if you play exclusively in VR. My setup has 3 VR base stations, which allows me to use VR despite my large flat panel. Everything is placed such that both chairs have line of sight, but perhaps you don't even need a screen. This is why those modules are available separately. For reference, I've mounted a 65-inch TV on MTS Flight. This is on what's called monitor internal. Monitor internal is attached to the base frame, and monitor external is something that I haven't tested yet, but it's supposed to be its own part that is completely standalone. If I needed to move my screens away just for VR, I may have ordered monitor external instead, and I would have likely mounted those on casters. Monitor external would also be very interesting to me if I wanted to support a multi-axis motion kit, and it makes more sense for me to isolate very large, very complex screens away from that jarring repetitive motion. A quick sidebar is when I was speaking with Monstertech throughout this process, they've actually tested motion on MTS, and I think they actually have an unofficial solution planned out, so if you need more information on that, there's absolutely no harm in contacting them directly with a question. As I said in my case, I decided that monitor internal was what I needed, and for your reference, I've measured an extra 15 centimeters of additional vertical adjustment, and that's with my 65-inch screen. I know that I could attach possibly as large as 85 or perhaps even more in the future. The monitor mounting system includes a VESA mount rated for television, the one that uses larger bolts for big screens. I can pull it closer and I can angle it left and right, which would be fantastic if I wanted to use this in a small apartment or office as my main TV when not being used for sim. I've also bought the optional arms, which extend from the monitor internal to clear my 65-inch main screen. With these, I could have achieved a more conventional triple span monitor, the kind you'd normally see in road sim. The arms came with the same adjustable VESA mount ready for large screens. I kept thinking about how crazy it would be to have triple mount high refresh 4K panels in that 45 or 50-inch range. That would be truly panoramic, but as I stream here and for my productivity needs, I've decided to use 2 smaller 27-inch screens. In testing, the arms were very well suited on either side, but ultimately I stacked them both on the left with great results. I still don't know what my final needs are, so I've actually ordered a total of 4 arms. I could mount 4 small screens with 1 large screen, and there's even more space above as I have it configured on my second rig. For my road sim, I wanted a second monitor stacked and I needed it to be closer. A single 32x9 front and center, just above the wheel, with the curve providing a great immersive experience. And in the future, I can still mount additional screens left and right if I need that. For my needs, I decided to create a mount that will mount a second screen above the first, but Monstertech is about to release that new module, so you'll actually be able to buy it in the near future. Below the main screen is Tobii eye tracking, and because there's flexibility throughout MTS, everything was adjusted and Tobii operates flawlessly. On this rig, directly in front of me, I have 4 main options. This mounting space is designed to slide towards or away from you for adjustment to make it easier to get in and out. I measured that there is 55 centimeters, which is 20 inches of travel in this motion. When visitors are over, switching between users, I can get them the best position without tools, because I can adjust the controls separate from the chair. Not all arms are the same length, so you release, adjust, and retighten. When I need to take a break or when I'm done for the day, I release and stow it away, making it safer and easier to get out. Along with this, I added a T-nut, a bolt, and a spacer to ensure that the yoke would never hit the screen, a stopper if you will. And I use a similar thing on the other rig to prevent the slider from coming too far forward and binding on the wires. And I also found that it was possible to quick change the entire configuration here. It's a little bit more deliberate, but simple, because all you need to do is take the caps off, replace the slider, replace the entire module, and then reattach the caps. Quickly switch between car and yoke and desk. This does take longer than switching pedals, but it was still easy to do this below 30 seconds, and it was easily done with a simple Allen wrench. So the current 4 options are wheel, yoke, desk, and of course blank. You don't need anything there. If you need nothing in this position and you run a TV as your screen, you can also eliminate those mid-horizontal profiles, opening up all that space. On the modules, I found that they slide freely, providing that you release the locking levers fully. My MTS wheel mount can pivot, slide, raise or lower on its universal mounting plate. This plate is pre-drilled for all common wheels, and I've tested it on CSL DD and a DD1. The yoke can pivot, slide, raise or lower, and also has a universal mounting plate. My desk mount has a wide smooth surface. It won't pivot, because you shouldn't pivot a desk, raise and lower. I was able to use parts of MTS desk to mount the Velocity one from Turtle Beach. I just removed the desk surface and clamped that directly to the profile. Do I personally need a desk in my plane? No, not really, especially as I have a table nearby, but I do play Star Citizen. We citizens most definitely need this level of functionality. We need a full keyboard, mouse, sticks, pedals, and panels to control the ship, and then transition to on-foot gameplay. I can quickly slide it towards me when I need it, and a second thing to consider is that this module is supposed to replace a desk if your space is limited. If I didn't have a desk, do I think I would be able to take a Zoom call from here? Well, many configurations already have a webcam for Discord or streaming, so sure, with everything more or less in reach, with headphones already connected, yes. Most definitely. But the people on the other end of the call might think it's a little bit unusual, but then you might be the only person able to rack up flight hours in DCS while in a meeting. I'm joking, obviously, but also not really, because I actually think that would be totally possible. I actually think that MTS is that modular. The rear middle mount sits below the chair and slides also on rails. Rear middle is very similar to chair middle mount, but it moves and it's designed to attach only to MTS. When combined with a gimbal such as a Virpil CM2, because the wire is removable, I can quickly loosen the 2 hand screws and then free up the controller to be stored safely somewhere else. To install when needed, I simply slide the mount forward, attach the gimbal, secure the hand screws, connect the wire, and slide everything into position and then lock it into place. Like, we're talking seconds. If I really get into a situation where I need things changed quickly and often, I have several rear mounts for both chopper or plane. I have a chopper gimbal with a preload set on 200mm and a Warbird grip, and I have another one that's configured for F-18 ready to swap out. I can round out the final parts that I have, which are MTS HOTAS left and right, which work very similar to the pre-existing chair and desk mounts that I already have tested. Many of them have the same parts. Each alone will mount 1 joystick or throttle. It's nice that left or right are sold separately, because if I wanted to have only HOTAS and a middle stick, I could save a little bit and clean up the entire right side. In that case though, if you plan to add more, you could use that free space on your right to mount an MFD or extra panels. When checking out, it's important when looking at these parts to specify what you plan to mount so that you get the correct adapter. If you don't specify, you'll get the default, which is a Warthog plate, so please make sure to remember this step. My goal here was to have many types of flight controllers configured at once. I wanted to have a chopper collective next to a throttle with extra panels. I wanted to be able to fly F-18, F-16, dual grips with Star Citizen, plus have a mouse surface. I knew that if it might take me 10 minutes or more to convert when I wanted to play, I might not. Left and right are removable in seconds, and I put an individual USB on each with a piece of 2-way tape. All the wiring is tucked away nicely, and when I attach or remove it, it's as simple as plugging or unplugging. Along with the default mounts, I've added 3 extras, which are being used on my flight rig. Chair mouse extension is on my right side, and that's being used with MTS Desk for Star Citizen. That gives me my keyboard and mouse. On my left side, there's throttle add-on and also a collective add-on. They do exactly what they sound like they do. So in total, I'm able to have at my disposal left and right alpha grips on Z extension, a collective, a throttle. There's a middle mounted CM2 for helicopter or jet. I have a yoke which simply slides into position, and then there's a panel on my right. To free up space when I'm using the yoke, I usually temporarily remove some parts from left and right. But again, these are pre-positioned and that doesn't take time. It takes seconds to just flick them off and put them somewhere else. If I decide to play anything else, it takes a couple seconds to put everything back perfectly where it should be. If I decide to play something that requires no joystick controllers, MTS is ready with keyboard and mouse. Even for something like Battlefield, which is crazy, right? You're playing Battlefield from a sim rig on a 65-inch screen. It's just too good. I don't feel I need to say it, but I will. Everything works well because of the thoughtful modularity. Every likely option in practically any appropriate location. Screens where you want them, pedals secure where you want them, controllers placed where you need them, but able to be added or subtracted in a couple of seconds. This is real evolution and something that's not offered anywhere else. And that was the entire point of MTS and why I put myself on the pre-order list very early. There are still new parts that are being designed and planned for release. There's an option to mount a smaller monitor closer, like that 49-inch 32x9 that's on my driving rig. There's an option to mount a second screen above it, like what I'm doing on my driving rig. These were modeled off of my plan, but releasing with much better engineering than my solution, and in the near future, I would also expect to see some solutions for mounting shifter and park brake. So I'm going to close out this video with a short summary, as I do feel that my impressions have been quite clear throughout the video. I'm going to say, as an early user, I'm impressed. I've had a couple months to build and adjust and use MTS. I've had time to live with it. The combination of its modular quick changeout pedals, its modular quick changeout controller mounts, the possibility to slide wheels and yokes away when not needed, the ability to switch from sim to desk for productivity, all of this plus the freedom to set whatever screen you want wherever you need it. Fantastic. And as I said, real evolution. I have all the tools that I need to put the correct controller in the correct place and adjust it quickly if my needs change. And I feel that that's all I wanted to say about the new Monstertech MTS sim system. Very well planned out and very well executed. There's a hardware list in the description that has all the parts that I used listed and linked. That document also includes links to the official product manuals if you'd like to see a more detailed view of how things work and go together. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, thank you very much. Don't hesitate to comment in the comments with your comments. I actually read and respond, or you can DM me on Discord. Please share and subscribe as I have more subjects planned out on the topic of MTS, including a build guide. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse.